government is exerting pressure on Kenyan authorities to silence self-exiled former higher education minister Jonathan Moyo, pictured, who is throwing tantrums at President Emerson Mnangagwa's administration using microblogging site, Twitter. The sharp-tongued politician has been a pain in the backside for Mnangagwa's government ever since he skipped the country last November to escape being apprehended by the army. This was after the military stormed out of the barracks last November to deal with criminals around former President Robert Mugabe, who ended up resigning to stymie an impeachment motion that had been set off in Parliament. Among the criminals, Moyo had the biggest prize on his head. He is currently under investigation for allegedly siphoning over $400,000 from the Zimbabwe Manpower Development Fund, ZimDef. Even though he has found refuge among his in-laws in Kenya, Moyo has continued to put his social media skills to use by insulting Mnangagwa's administration through ferocious tweets. The Daily News can, however, report that government functionaries are now leaning heavily on Kenyan authorities to rein in the former higher education minister seen as the brains behind Mugabe and his pesky wife, Grace's shenanigans. Contacted for comment on Tuesday, Mnangagwa's spokesperson George Tramba professed ignorance over the matter, saying it was quite possible that the action could have been taken by the security ministries without his knowledge. When it comes to security matters, it is not about us. The Ministry of Home Affairs would probably know, so you can get help from there, Tramba said. Home Affairs Minister Robert Mpofu referred questions to National Police spokesperson Charity Tramba, saying this is an operational issue. The National Police spokesperson did not return calls to her mobile. Zimbabwe and Kenya enjoy good bilateral relations, and it is on the basis of these cordial ties that Harare is hoping to convince Nairobi to muzzle the former ZANU-PF propagandist, whose tweets are making headlines in the private media. Sources said there are fears that Moyo could violate the Official Secrets Act by disclosing sensitive information he may have accessed during his time in government if allowed to continue spitting venom while holed up in Kenya, which may provide fodder to the opposition. Mnangagwa, whose name will appear on the ballot as ZANU-PF's presidential candidate for the first time in his political career spanning over 6 decades, is desperate to win the elections to be held before the end of July to prove to critics that he is a viable candidate. It is being argued by the Zimbabwean authorities that their counterparts should not allow Moyo to undermine a sister liberation war movement without consequence. Harare is impressing on its counterparts that there are Kenyan immigrants in Zimbabwe whom it is now allowing to voice their dislike for Uhuru Kenyatta's government because of the camaraderie between them. Moyo is one of the few allies of Mugabe who are still defending the fallen dictator. Soon after Mugabe's ouster, Moyo wrote in November last year that, "The presumption that an old violent and looting dog can practice new tricks is nothing but a fallacy."